Welcome back to the channel, everybody. Today we're going to see if I can do anything useful with my new welder. I've never welded before, but I've got 4 welding projects that need done, including on this. This is my 04 325 CI. It's got eBay headers and they look and sound awesome, but down at the bottom they weren't quite long enough to reach the mid pipe. So I've got to weld up that. This is my LS400. It's in mint condition, but it's extremely quiet. It's got cat, resonator, and 2 full-size mufflers on the way out. And I know they sound great when they're opened up, so I want to at least delete a muffler off of that. I also have an old Ford Focus winter beater that has a blown-out resonator. And all those together are at least $1,000. So the question is, can you take the cost of one of those jobs and spend it on a welder? Then you got the tools and the skills to do as many projects as you need to. This is an Easy Flux 125. All this together was about $240 from Harbor Freight. And this is absolutely everything you need. It even runs off of a 120 outlet. So let's pull the Ford into the garage and get started. So the plan is to come off of this elbow here and go straight sideways, and then take this elbow, stick it on the end here, so we're going back this way, and then I got another 90 degree to come back out here towards the side, and we're gonna go right through the sill. This car actually has pretty good ground clearance with these oversized wheels on it, so I was gonna try and come out underneath the sill, but as you can see there's pretty much nothing left. I just poked with my finger last night. This is what came out of that hole. But the good news is, right through here, that's the actual structure of the unibody, and there's no rust. That's completely solid. So what we're going to try and do is cut out a half circle right here and weld a 3-inch pipe, try and close this hole off, and then stick the 2-inch straight out the sides. First step is slicing right here, because everything behind this elbow is going to get tossed. So we got the old parts and the new parts laid out, and I just weighed them. The new parts are 6, these are 17. So besides looking awesome, we're going to save ourselves 11 pounds. All right, time for a test fit. The end pipes on this muffler are 2 inches inside diameter, so they fit over the existing pipe, which is good. I chopped about 1 inch more off of this side on the existing pipe and cut off about another 1/2 inch there. We're trying to get as far left as we can because our constraining spot is right here. We got about 1 inch of clearance. Okay, now that everything lines up, we've got to cut our way through the sill. And this is our 3-inch pipe that's going to kind of shroud our actual exhaust pipe. So I got my pipe in position, but completely unsurprisingly, there's way too much rod in here to weld to. All right, let's see if we can tack it in place. I'm worried the existing sheet metal is going to be too thin and I'm going to burn through, but let's find out. That's actually not bad. Welding rookie tip: the wire sticking out of the gun's got to be less than half an inch. For me, about a 1/4 inch works best. Well, I got a hole right there, but otherwise I think I'm doing okay. Well, I'm not even going to show you the tack weld down here. There's just too much rust and it's just ugly. But it's solid. That piece is on there, which is all I really care about. It's just something to hold this corner together. Now don't look. Third piece is shaped and clamped in place. I've got good contact all up here, some here before you get into the rot, and then all this about 2 inches here. So the Frankenstein car is coming together. Obviously really lumpy and ugly welds, but I'm hoping that it'll look pretty smooth once I grind everything down. Hit it with the grinder, look for any holes and refill. If nothing else, this thing's a lot more solid than the rot that was there before. I wanted to keep the fender liner if I could, because without the fender liner in place, everything thrown up by the wheels is just going to catch here and wreck my piece. So I'm going to fabricate one final piece to go here. I already unrolled a 3-inch pipe, and that'll hopefully be the last piece I have to weld. Tough to form metal with vice grips and a hammer, but I got a couple of good contact points, so I'm going to tack in a position and try and shape it and cut it in place, try and get good contact all the way around. Well, I'm calling that done. Some parts turned out good like this. This is nice and clean. Down here I was trying to fill a gap so it was nothing but lumps. But I'm not too worried about cosmetics. This is just a winter beater and it's really solid. Well, it's white. I'm calling it job done on bodywork. Since all the pieces are about to be tacked into place, I want to clean up all the cut ends before they get put together. So everything's in and lines up. I got the final tailpipe right here going through my slot. Looks good. And this might be obvious, but if it hasn't occurred to you where to put your clamp when you're working on exhaust system, just put a pipe clamp right there and go onto that.
I think it's fine. It almost works with the curvature of the car back here. Not too far out or anything.
Problem is right here it's actually touching. Is this all the way in? That helped a little bit maybe. Ooh, that gives us more wiggle room, a little bit. There you go. That's actually about perfect right there.
Yeah.
Too little bit low.
That's good, I'd say.
Okay, let me do 2 more tacks. That looks awesome. Okay. So now we're gonna tack here, here, and here, and put this thing on the bench to get it all welded up. Okay, another thing that's obvious if you know what you're doing, this was really popcorny, so I added about a half letter of wattage, increased the power, and that looks like a real weld right there. So I'm picking it up. All that really matters though is that this thing holds air, and I think we're gonna get there. Right here the gap's too big to close with the clamp, so I'm gonna hit it with the grinding wheel, cut a little notch, and that should help me close it down and get a good seat between the 2 sides. That's looking a lot better. Let's hit that. Well, it's not quite touching, but I think I can bridge that gap. Let's see. Still some buildup. I wonder if I'm going too slow with the gun, but there's no burn through and it looks like we have good penetration. So, all right, all 3 welds are done. Still a ton of popcorn. There's my one good weld right there, but I am improving, experimenting with how fast I'm going and the power. I'm leaving the wire speed steady and trying to adjust the other 2, but these are my last couple welds right here and they look a lot better. Smooth, good penetration. But I went over the whole thing and I don't think there's any holes at all, and I guess it doesn't need much strength. It's just holding the pieces of exhaust together. So we're back in the car and everything lines up good except the final exit. It's kind of pointed about 10 degrees towards the front of the car. So what I'm gonna do is notch on this side about most of the way through and see if I can bend the whole thing just to the left, and then we'll get a straight out exit. I left a bigger gap on the outside, so hopefully when we bend it, we'll have as much metal on metal as possible. Not quite touching, but I've closed bigger gaps than that today. Back under the car again, and that kink definitely helped. It's still a little bit towards the front. It's right in the middle of the hole. Everything lines up. Time to tack the last weld in place. Well, this is the worst part of the job. I've only got about a foot, maybe 14 inches under this car, and it's really hard to line everything up, get your mask on, reach around and flip the visor down, and still do a good weld. Okay, we're down to our last weld. I used the clamp again to bend down the little flange. Don't have much gap at all, so let's get it. I think I went a little too fast for that gap, but that's pretty good penetration. Just need to fill in a couple spots. Half an inch or less is important. Just a couple of little pinholes I'm gonna hit, and we're gonna call it good. There it is. It's pretty well centered in the hole, not perfect. This is what we're gonna hang it with. $5 on Amazon. So what I'm doing is bent the strap so it sits against the side of the unibody, and I'm gonna go ahead and just weld it in position and then see if I need another strap. Well, it's attached to the car. I had a hard time getting the wattage dialed in going into the side of the unibody. It just kind of soaked up all the power. So there's definitely ugly welds, but it's solid and not bad. It has a lot of side-to-side movement, so I'm gonna try and attach one more hanger. I'm also going to soak this thing in primer so it doesn't rust. So I'm up in the central tunnel, actually above the pipe going back, and that right there is a slot that the tab of these hangers fits in exactly. I kind of lucked out there, so what I'm going to do is bend a U, stick the end in there, and then bolt the other side to the pipe, and that should prevent the side-to-side movement. Okay, I might have this bent close enough to get it in the slot. Took a lot of doing. There's not much room up here. I think that might actually work. Wow, that's solid. Well, that is job done. I'm really happy with how the alignment turned out. It's pretty centered, vertically and horizontally. Pretty tight clearances. All right, moment of truth. Dude, there's no wobbles, no bangs, no slaps. I love it. how that project turned out. It was satisfying getting everything to line up, especially the hangers, welding to the side of the body. I can't believe how close the tolerances we got on the exit. There's maybe a 1/4 inch all the way around, and it doesn't bang. I love it. So for having never touched a welder until 2 weeks ago, I'm really happy with how it turned out.